my hand.
Hi.
Betty, Betty, Betty! Mighty dog! Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, Betty, let's go for a walk. Come on, come on. Come on, let's go for a walk. Come on, come on. Come on. Watch out for cactus. Jump. 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 Put your legs out. There you go. You got it. Now push off with your arms and push back with your feet at the same time. There you go. See? You got it. One, two, three.
Happy New Year! Cha-cha-cha.
All right, so we've had our first hard freeze in the RV, and it's actually really cold snap for even the central Texas area and hill country. The temperature right now is in the mid-20s, so I think
30.
it's around 30 now?
We finally hit 30.
Okay, so we're going up to the 30s, but we have a really good wind blowing, so it's been dropping. Last night the wind was blowing so much it was around 23, 25 degrees.
It hit 21 for the low,
Okay.
and then it felt like 16.
Yeah, no, actually it was even lower.
Yeah.
It was feeling like 10. We're near some of the cities. Some of them were feeling like 9 degrees. Not centigrade, I'm talking Fahrenheit. So it was pretty cold last night. Now, some learning things that we've still got some adjusting on some of our gray water drainage. So I thought I was being really smart last night, and I unhooked our water hose, and everything froze. Now, part of the freezing, though...
Wait, you said gray water.
Well, we have gray water drainage problems. So right now, our gray water, the pipe that goes out to our sewage, the water will stay in it. So instead of having a poop sickle outside, I said, well, we'll just unhook the water, we'll drain out, and we'll be done. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a poop sickle, but we don't have water this morning. I disconnected the hose from the RV, but I didn't disconnect it from the spigot. Last night, we noticed we were losing water, and what I'm suspecting now is we connected a carbon filter to the spigot and then to the hose. And I think with the cold wind, all the water in that carbon filter froze solid. So we started having water restriction. And instead of disconnecting the carbon filter, just hooking up the hose and leaving a slow drip and then dealing with the poop sickle, if it happened, we now have completely frozen hoses. And so our wonderful landlord on New Year's Day came over, made sure that the hose, the spigot is now working. And what we're working on right now is thawing our hose that was a complete icicle from stem to stern, I guess you could say. So right now, we've been using a small space heater to keep the RV warm all night, which has been great. That's a very small item that's been keeping everything warm. We do have propane heater, so what we had to decide to do is to thaw our hose. We have a Tupperware box, and we have turned on a propane heater, and one of the blowers, we have the hose next to it in the box, so it will drain slowly, and then we can hook it back up and start seeing how everything in our system's going. So we'll find out about our gray tank really soon too. So we want to make sure we get our hot water going. I think we need that just as much as anything else. So we're going to do some trial and error. What I'm hoping is that we have enough salt, different stuff in our gray tank that it is still kind of slushy and will work its way out. I'm not worried about the gray tank because we did treat it. So with the treatment in there, it should hold a little lower than freezing.
So this is, the girls slept in the dinette last night because we have the heater out here and we didn't want to run the propane all night for the furnace. So we had them sleeping out here with the space heater on them.
Plus Daddy experimented something. He found out that he could take the sticks out of the holes and put the table in these little wood places where the table could go, and he put all the cushions right here where the table was.
So this is our water hose that is in front of the heater, the furnace right now, and we're trying to defrost it so that we can hook it back up and use it.
Carbon filter starting to thaw out. Now, this is why we thought we needed a filter. If you can see in here, we have some bits of wood and other matter that's in the inflow. This is completely frozen this morning, so we didn't see any of that. But you can see right there, there's little bits of pieces of stuff. So that's been blowing into our water system before we put our filter in.
Yeah.
Now, the other side, this has been draining down. If you'll notice, there's a little arrow. So I had it sitting this way in the sink. Well, it's still frozen solid. Let me turn a little so you can see it. So we've got a big ice cube right there. And it was completely frozen solid. It was a carbon stick last night. So I think...
A carbon sickle?
Yeah, carbon sickle. The RV water filter sickle. Anyway, the problem is that I think the wind froze all the water in this first, so the water was starting to get restricted. Now I know, take this off when it starts freezing and just let the water run. It will probably be okay. So now we're just letting this thaw out. It's trash. I'm fairly certain.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be able to run water through it, but
it's a good thing we have 4 of them.
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm trying to see if it's swole or has gotten swollen. It got swole last night, but I can see like little lines.
Went to the gym,
here.
got swole.
Yeah, I can see little lines on it that I don't think were there before. I could be wrong. You don't really look at this so.
I have to look at another one.
Yeah, you don't look so intensely until something like this happens, and you look at everything and go, "Is that what it was like before?" You don't want to mess up your RV. Obviously, when you have this hard of a freeze. So this is the first time last year. They said this same time last year it was 80 degrees. So we went from 80 degrees to 30 degrees. So it was a crazy night last night. Not a cold night so bad for us. We were nice and warm. We all slept very well. We had our comforters on. I was pretty warm. I woke up and I saw Christy and her leg was hanging out to regulate, so it was perfect.
So this is our predicament right now. We have a small heater under that towel heating our gray tank valve. I thought it had gotten left open, but it didn't. So it's frozen shut. And yes, our septic or sewer lines are all messed up. But our landlord came out and helped us defrost the water spout so that we can at least get water back going into the RV. So we have some finagling to do, and it's a hot mess over here. We've got electricity and water going in the same places, so that makes me very nervous because my dad would have died if he'd seen that. But, you know, you do what you gotta do. So, we've been out here trying to defrost our gray tank valve so that we can open the gray tank so that we can take showers now that we have water running to the RV. So this has been an experience. But the thing is like we didn't freeze to death. The worst thing is we couldn't flush the potty, like wash our hands. We had to use wipies and stuff, and you know, so it is what it is. But it was an experience, and we're gonna get at least 4 or 5 more of these before we build our home. So it's gonna be interesting. I think. Good.
Still frozen solid. But
I need to wash off that thing when it warms up.
Oh, yeah. Well, we need to give a good pressure washing on a lot of stuff.
We did find out that all the condensation on the inside of the windows, that there are weep holes for the windows, so we don't have to worry about that quite as much. Of course, we have the dehumidifier going, and we open the windows as much as we can when it's not too blisteringly cold. We'll open them and get the condensation out, but
honestly, it's just really cold. It's not the first time I've been in this kind of cold. It's, I mean, I've frozen doors to cars and stuff like that when I lived in North Carolina, and I'm sure as a kid up in upstate New York, there are things like this that my family dealt with. But it's just a little bit harder when you forget important things like where does water drip and what shouldn't you stop off with cold wind blowing everywhere. So realize, don't close the gray tank. So we would have been okay, I think, if we kept a drip. It may have been, our couplers may have been frozen shut, but I have an emergency coupler hidden on the RV, so we could have still drained it out away from it. So we will, this is a learning experience, and we will do awesomer next time.
Awesomer?
Awesomer. We will do better every time.
Awesomerest.
Yes, awesomest. We'll be the awesomest, and then we will.
Well, the awesomerest.
Awesomerest. We'll be so awesome. Then we'll start our homestead, and we'll have a whole bunch of other adventures of things we shouldn't have done. So it's okay. You notice right here we have our exhaust vent for a heater, so we have to be careful with our water hose that doesn't get so close that we melt it. And here is the water heater vent, and I heard this one turn off. And then I went over to this one. Is that hot? And I had my gloves on, and they were wet from connecting stuff. And all of a sudden, I heard a sizzle. And it was my finger. Not fun. It was a little too close. But is that all the way out?
I think, yeah, that's out. Woohoo!
Well, let's go run some hot water.
So our gray tank's frozen.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Because no water.
Because there's a little pipe up here that's cold.
So we need to wrap it with the towel, but take the heater off.
Yeah. All right.
Thumbs up.
As buttoned up as we can be until we know what we're doing. So, all right.
So the thing that's saved our propane the most has been this wonderful space heater, and it's a Polaris.
Polaris, yeah.
Yeah,
So it was
Polaris space heater.
not the cheapest fan, but there were 2 brands. So it didn't have a lot of bells and whistles on it, but it did mention it had a temperature readout and that it would rotate. So we've got that. It's awesome.
Okay. So I love this space heater for several reasons. One, it has a digital readout, which you'll see when I turn it back on. But you can set the temperature you want it to stay at. Plus it has a timer up to 8 hours. It has a fan inside, and it has a separate switch for oscillating so it can blow the heat around. The nice thing is that it also doubles as just a regular fan. You can just have it on fan and have a thermostat, which is nice because our thermostat for our air conditioner and our furnace is kind of old and it doesn't have a very good readout. It's kind of, you know, hit or miss on what temperature is actually going to be like inside. So this one has a digital thermostat, which I love. So the best thing is you turn it on, and that's just thermostat reading. That's the low heater, high heater, and then just fan and off. So turn it on high. You can turn it on clock and set how long you want it to go, the timer. So the timer's off. So it's 66 in here right now, but we have the thermostat set to 71. Unfortunately, it's really cold. So even with that, we're not able to actually get up to 71, even though we have it set at that. But then you have the separate oscillating button down there. And it's pretty awesome. So it wasn't expensive. I think we paid around $40 for it. It's the Pilatus space heater. So we had enough of the cold in the RV, and we are heading out to town.
So we're going to deal with the cold in town.
But we are heading into town to see what we can do for some lunch, because it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've only had an apple and a cup of coffee. I'm starving.
You had some beans.
That's true. I had like a half a cup of beans, like not even that much.
I set you up. I shared.
So we bundled up like we're going to the South Pole, and we're heading into town.
Well, it's 30 degrees when it's, last year it was 80. So,
yeah.
You know.
Us South Texas people ain't used to this.
Babies. We're huge babies.
Let's hit the road.